The time is 6:15. Here is the news edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe, read by Victor Raj. Here are the headlines of the local news. An island-wide travel restriction will come into force tonight. Health authorities emphasize the need to follow health guidelines even after vaccination. Community services will continue although the Vesak festival has been cancelled. Airports will remain open despite travel restrictions. Foreign news, independent review of global response finds COVID-19 warnings were ignored. Sports news, UFC fighter Conor McGregor tops Forbes annual athletes rich list. Local news in detail. Police media spokesman DIG Ajit Rohana said people are not allowed to go out in the public during island-wide travel restriction period commencing tonight. Island-wide travel restrictions are imposed from 11 p.m. tonight until 4 a.m. on Monday. People are only allowed to go out in the public for essential needs and go to the hospital or to buy medicine. All shops with the exception of pharmacies will be required to remain closed during this period. Delivery services of pharmacies and essential services will be allowed to operate. After 4 a.m. on Monday, the public will be allowed to leave their homes for work or any other essential purposes based on the last digit of their NIC number. Chief Epidemiologist of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Sudat Samaravira, says that as soon as the COVID vaccine is taken, there will not be a protection for the virus. He said at least it will take 2 weeks to increase immunity after taking the 2 doses of the vaccine. Therefore, he said it is essential to follow health protective measures after getting the vaccine. He added that the public should follow health guidelines as the UK variant is spreading fast in the country. Tourism Minister Prasanna Ranatunga said despite the strict travel restrictions are in force in the country, there is no decision taken to close the airports. He said the closure of the airports could deprive Sri Lankans living abroad of the opportunity to enter the country and that the airports would function according to the health guidelines. During an event held in Vatupitivala, Minister Ranatunga said several countries have temporarily imposed travel ban on Sri Lanka. The Ministry of Buddha Sasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs says that all community services implemented to continue with the State Vesak Festival will continue, although the festival was cancelled due to the pandemic. A short religious program will be held on the 24th at Hunupitiya Gangarama Temple, Colombo 2, under the health protective measures. Secretary to the Ministry, Professor Kapila Gunawardena has requested the public to celebrate Vesak Festival giving priority to religious aspects considering the present situation in the country. The Department of Immigration and Immigration says the Battaramulla main office will kept open to issue passports for emergencies and essential work. Kandy, Vavuniya, Mathura and Kurunegala regional offices are also open for certain requirements. Visas of foreign nationals staying in the country have been extended from 11th May to 9th June. Former MP Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa says that an all-party conference suggested by former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe is not a solution to present problems. He said that conferences and committees that prevailed during the time of former Prime Minister Wickremesinghe did not find solutions to the problems at that time. He said today that present opposition leader was a powerful cabinet minister during that period. He pointed out the need for common front to overcome the challenges posed by COVID-19. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Digital accounts can now be opened in 10 minutes. People's Bank Digital Banking, your ultimate convenience.
Continuing with more local news, a program to produce beds for COVID patients has begun by the institutions under the Ministry of Urban Development and Housing. The minister said that the program is being implemented on the instructions of the Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. The State Engineering Corporation and Department of Government Workshop are contributing to the project. A minor flood situation has occurred in the Putlam district due to heavy rains in the country. Deputy Director of the Disaster Management Centre, Pradeep Kodipilla, said that 2 sluice gates of the Udawala Reservoir have been opened. He further said that reservoirs in the Hambantota district have filled with water reaching the level to open their sluice gates. Sri Lanka Navy established a rapid response rescue and relief unit in the Ratnapura new town on Tuesday. Ratnapura town and the surrounding low-lying areas are prone to frequent floods due to the heavy rainfall received by catchment areas of Kaluganga, which flows close to town area of Ratnapura. The establishment of this rapid response rescue and relief unit will provide Navy relief teams easy access to flood-prone areas in and around Ratnapura. Further, this move will enable the Navy to extend relief missions to the public at short notice, while managing flood emergencies in coordination with the Disaster Management Centre. Professor Priyantha Yapa of the Sabaragamba University says until sufficient amount of organic fertilizer is manufactured, quality organic fertilizer has to be imported for a certain period of time. Importing of organic fertilizer has to be done under a proper regulatory framework. An expert committee has been appointed to implement the organic fertilizer program. He said that chemical fertilizers severely affects the lives of the people. Professor Yapa pointed out that use of chemical fertilizer has led to unknown illnesses. He said that chemical fertilizer makes soil infertile. The Jaffna Teaching Hospital has taken steps to increase the number of PCR tests. Hospital Director Dr. Sri Bhavananda Raja said that they have planned to carry out about 800 PCR tests daily. The decision was made in view of the increasing number of COVID virus infections in the northern province. Meanwhile, necessary facilities have been made available for the infected at the isolation center at Kopai National College of Education. Dr. Sri Bhavananda Raja said that ambulances are also on standby for any assistance needed by the patients. Trincomalee District Secretary Saman Darshan Pandikoralas said that an 850-bed COVID treatment center will be set up in Trincomalee District. Nilabeli Samurdhi Training Center and COVID Treatment Center at the Kantalai Hospital are on standby. Infected people will be admitted to those from the 17th of this month. Currently, COVID patients are admitted to the Komarangada Divisional Hospital. Meanwhile, 155 infected people have been admitted to the COVID Virus Treatment Center set up at the Babunia Economic Center. The 200-bed facility has been arranged in collaboration with the Army. A special telephone number has been introduced in the Batticaloa district to report problems faced by women and children. Batticaloa District Secretary K. Karunakaran introduced the phone number 070-5506-600 yesterday. People in Ampara and Trincomalee districts can also report their complaints through this number. Complaints can be made through this number on Mondays, Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The aim is to address the issues facing women and children. This special telephone number has been introduced through an app designed by the Batticaloa Circle wing of a young women's team. That ends local news.
Debit card, mobile and internet banking along with cardless cash facilities can now be opened in just 10 minutes with no form filling with People's Bank Digital Banking.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Vidamahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The COVID cases in Piliyandala in the Colombo districts continue to rise as 146 more patients out of 413 reported in the Colombo districts were from Piliyandala. A total number of 2,429 cases were reported in the country yesterday, with more than 100 patients were identified in 10 districts. Accordingly, the highest cases were reported from districts were 413 from Colombo, 370 from Kalutara, 332 from Gampaha, 140 from Matara, 136 from Kurunegala, 128 from Gold, 132 from Badulla, 123 from Kandy, 119 from Putlam and 107 from Mathali. That ends main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
Moving on to Watchlight, according to Airport and Aviation Services Limited, airline passengers or transit passengers from Sri Lanka will not be permitted to leave for Dubai, Kuwait, Italy, Maldives and Singapore until 31st of May. This was announced recently by its Vice Chairman, Rajivasiri Suryarachi. That ends Watchlight. Moving on to world news, let's take a look at the headlines. Independent review of global response finds COVID-19 warnings were ignored. COVID cases are rising in Japan amid state of emergency. Gaza death toll jumps as Israeli air raids intensify. World news in detail. An independent panel set up to review the global response to the coronavirus pandemic has found a litany in the failure led to the disaster and warned another catastrophic pandemic may happen unless urgent and vital steps are taken. In damning findings released yesterday, the independent panel for pandemic preparedness and response said it found weak links at every point in the chain and global political leadership was absent. The panel was set up by the World Health Organization to learn lessons from the pandemic and address future health threats. Infections continue to spread in Japan, despite a state of emergency that is in effect in Tokyo, Osaka, and 4 other prefectures. Officials in the capital reported 1,010 cases today. It is the 4th time this month the daily tally has hit quadruple digits. The northernmost prefecture of Hokkaido confirmed a record 712 infections, that is an increase of nearly 200 from yesterday's total. Israeli fighter jets have attacked high-rise buildings and other targets in the Gaza Strip as Palestinians in the besieged enclave work up today to mark the Eid al-Fitr religious holiday under relentless aerial bombardment. Since the Israeli offensive began late on Monday, Gaza's health minister says at least 83 people, including 17 children, have been killed. More than 480 others have been wounded. The Israeli army said hundreds of rockets have been fired from Gaza towards various locations in Israel. To wrap up the world news, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Independent review of global response finds COVID-19 warnings were ignored. COVID cases are rising in Japan amid state of emergency. Gaza death toll jumps as Israeli air raids intensify. That ends world news. Moving on to development news, the Cabinet has approved a proposal to prepare a new master plan for the Muthurajabela wetland area and to consequently declare it as an international Ramsar wetland. The Cabinet on Monday approved the proposal containing several measures targeted at conserving the Muthurajabela wetland area, which has been under threat due to a multitude of issues. That ends development news.
Sports news is brought to you by...
When Aya bought a motorbike, he bought 2 helmets. So sweet of him. I'm sure the other one is for me.
In whatever we do, we Sri Lankans are always thinking of others. When we get Munchie Super Cream Crackers, they're not just for ourselves. Munchie Super Cream Cracker. Super kiyanne nikan neve.
Mixed martial arts. Conor McGregor was the world's highest paid athlete over the past 12 months, according to the annual Forbes list, earning just say of £128 million. The Irish mixed martial arts made £15.6 million from his fight against Dustin Poirier, with the rest coming from the sale of his whiskey brand and growing endorsements portfolio. Footballers Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo comes next with NFL quarterback Dak Prescott and basketballer LeBron James rounding out the top 5. Tennis news. Serena Williams saw the 1,000th match of her illustrious career end in a straight-set defeat by Argentina's Nadia Podoroska at the Italian Open. The 39-year-old American, playing her first competitive match since mid-February, was beaten 7-6, 8-6, 7-5. Podoroska looked assured in her first meeting with the 23-time Grand Slam champion as she reached the last 16. Naomi Osaka suffered a second straight defeat on clay, while Simona Halep's title defense was ended by injury. Motor Racing Formula One's governing body has launched a clampdown on flexible rear wings amid suspicions teams were bending the rules. The move comes after Lewis Hamilton claimed Red Bull used a bending wire, increasing straight-line speed. The governing body has written to teams saying it had become aware some rear wings passed tests but had excessive deflections while cars are in motion. That ends sports news.
My wife always sets a full lunch table even if it's just the two of us. She always expects people to drop by, like maybe the army.
In whatever we do, we Sri Lankans are always thinking of others. When we get Munchie Super Cream Crackers, they're not just for ourselves. Munchie Super Cream Cracker. Super kiyanne nikan neve.
Contributory deposit of ₹1,000 from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business news. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
Relatively low global oil prices and the resurgence seen in economic activities in the first 3 months of 2021 helped Lanka IOC to deliver a profit in the period ended in March 2021. Sri Lanka's only private sector distributor of petroleum products reported revenues of ₹20.7 billion for the quarter compared to the ₹22.2 billion in the same period a year earlier. That ends business news.
Business news. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money. Contributory deposit of ₹1,000 from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Economic news, courtesy of Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
A new World Bank Group study has found that a strikingly large percentage of workers and firms operate outside the line of sight of governments in emerging market and developing countries. It is a challenge that is likely to hold back the recovery in these economics unless governments adopt a comprehensive set of policies to address the drawbacks of the informal sector. The study is the first comprehensive bank analysis examination the extent of informality and its implications for an economic recovery that supports green, resilient and inclusive development in the long term. That ends Economic News.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
The Met Department says Shasotanda Shasiluk at times in Sabaragamu, Central, Western, Southern and Northwestern provinces and in Mana district. Shasotanda Shasiluk at several places elsewhere during the evening or night. Heavy force above 100 mm can be expected at some places in Western, Sabaragamu and Central provinces and in Gaul and Mathura districts. Wind speed can be increased up to 50 km per hour. At times over in Western, Sabaragamu, Central, Southern, Northern, North Central and Northwestern provinces. That ends Weather Report.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
To wrap up the evening news broadcast on Radio Sri Lanka, let's take a look at the headlines once again. An island-wide travel restriction will come into force tonight. Health authorities emphasize the need to follow health guidelines even after vaccination. Community services will continue, although the Vesak festival has been cancelled. Airports will remain open despite travel restrictions. Foreign news, independent review of global response finds COVID-19 warnings were ignored. Sports news, UFC fighter Conor McGregor tops Forbes annual athletes rich list.